everyone, my name's Ash and today I'm going to be sharing with you some fall book recommendations. The first recommendation that I have is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, and this is a book that follows a man named Richard Mayhew, and at the beginning of the book he saves a woman named Dor he finds her bleeding on the sidewalk, and he finds out that she is on the run from two assassins from what's called London Below. And this takes place in an urban fantasy setting where there's alternate Londons and there's magic and monsters and a lot of like running from bad guys. And I feel like the vibes are spooky and eerie and just perfect for fall. The next book recommendation that I have for you guys is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't include this on my fall recommendations list because this is so cozy. It just gives the right vibes to curl up with a sweater, a hot cup of coffee or tea, and just enjoy reading this book. This follows Viv. She is an orc and she decides to open up a coffee shop. And that's all I'm going to say. I think that you should go into this not knowing as much as you can so that you can be pleasantly surprised by the characters that you meet and the friendships that are formed. And yeah, I highly recommend reading this in the fall. Carrying on with the cozy fall vibes, I would like to recommend the Spiderwick Chronicles. Now, this isn't a necessarily cozy story, but it is very short. I recommend the entire series. You should read it in the fall, but I recommend this because the vibes are immaculate to read during the fall. It takes place in the middle of the woods. There are spooky creatures. There's magic. There are these three siblings who all go on different adventures, and I highly recommend reading this. The editions that I have seen are all illustrated, and this is by Tony Ditterlitzy and Holly Black, so the illustrations are absolutely beautiful, and the story overarches through 5 different books, and there's fae and ogres and trolls, and it just is a fantastic time. Now we are moving into some books that are a little bit on the darker side, but I think that that's very fitting for fall. So the first book on the darker side that I have is Gideon the Ninth, and this follows our character Gideon, and at the very beginning of the book she is trying to escape this nunnery that she lives in, and as she's escaping, her childhood nemesis comes and is like, no, you're gonna stay here and you're gonna do this favor for me and I'm going to keep you enslaved. And so chaos ensues. It's about necromancers and dark magic and trials, and it's very, very good, but it again is kind of dark, so just be forewarned going into that. Obviously it's dark, it has to deal with necromancers and stuff, but I think that this book is a fabulous book to read during the fall. The next book that I have on this list is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. This is a book that follows our character Patricia, and it takes place in the late 80s, and it essentially follows this book club as they are trying to suss out this new guy who just moved into town. Some of the women are on board with the investigation, some of them are not, and there's just a lot of drama that goes on. It's kind of a slow burn horror, but it still is. There were moments where I literally was like, ooh, shivering as I was reading it. So I highly recommend reading this in the fall, and if you can schedule it, I would read it in October. Then the final book that I have seems a little bit out of the norm for the rest of the books on this list, but I still think that it is good contender to read during the fall, and that is Babble by R.F. Kuang. This book is a dark academia story that involves magic, and there's a lot of politics involved, surprisingly, and it gets really dark. There's a lot of hard-hitting moments, and I think that reading it in the fall would be the best because it's very atmospheric. It takes place in this college, and it follows these 4 friends as they are kind of navigating their way through college. It deals with colonization and racism, and it just is a very hard-hitting, very, very good book, and I think that the vibes are perfect for it to be read in the fall. So those are all of the book recommendations that I have for you guys for this season. Let me know if you have any fall recommendations in the comments below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!